Give meanings. Gapping, wide open. Bring it sound, restore it to consciousness. Doses, small, measured quantities of something. Grubs, caterpillar, larvae of insects, etc. Investigating, exploring, probing. Shreds, bits and pieces. Flapping, moving the wings up and down violently. Inclination, wish or desire. Contemptuous, scornful, expressing deep hatred or disapproval. Raven, a large crow with mainly black feathers. Carrion crows, crows feeding on dead or decaying flesh. Squabble, a noisy quarrel about a small matter. Cackled, made a rough clucking cry. Engaging, charming or attractive. Took to visiting, visited regularly as a matter of habit. Helping himself, taking something without permission. Think and answer. What dangers were likely to befall the young crow? The young crow was in danger of being crushed by a cart or a tonga or seized by a cat. Who are the other members of the author's family living in the same house? The other members of the author's family living in the same house were his grandfather, his grandmother, and Aunt Mabel. Did the author's grandfather like animals? How do we know that? Give two examples from this page to support your answer. Yes, the author's grandfather liked animals. This is apparent from the fact that he helped the author to restore the crow to life. Grandfather also had a lot of pets in the house. This shows that he liked animals. What is implied in he took over the administration of the house? He took over the administration of the house means that he did whatever he wanted to and made new rules in the house. The others accepted his behavior. Guess how Caesar learned to say hello hello. Caesar had been taught by the author to say hello hello. What is meant by Aunt Mabel never was a success with the pets? Can you think of the reasons why it was so? Aunt Mabel never was a success with the pets means that pets did not like Aunt Mabel. This was probably because she too did not like them and objected to their presence in the house. Animals can sense it when someone dislikes them. What is implied in the following sentence? Most of the neighbors were represented in a house by a toothbrush. It means that Caesar had stolen toothbrushes from the house of most of the neighbors and made a collection of them on top of the cupboard in the author's room. What actions of the author show that he loved Caesar? The author had taught him to sit on his arm and say kiss kiss while he placed his head gently against the author's mouth. When Caesar broke his leg, the author carried him home and looked after him with love and care. When he died, the author buried him in a grave along with all the toothbrushes and clothes pegs he had taken so much trouble to collect. All these actions show that the author loved Caesar. Find antonyms for the following from the story: motionless, restless, captivity, freedom, frequent, occasional, dull, gleaming, gentle, fierce, cooperated, objected, deep, shallow, humble, snobbish. Now try to find out synonyms, words that mean the same for the following: disapproved, objected, bits, pieces, shreds, achievement, success, attracted, fascinated, controlled, restricted, nuisance, pest, rebuke, scold. Using your imagination, write how the other pets in the house could have objected to Caesar living in the house. The pet dog Bruno and the little pet cat Tiska would have got upset about the author's attention getting divided. Tiska would have refused to eat or drink, and Bruno must have barked each time The author would play with Caesar. Bruno and Tisca would have leaped onto the writer's lap to get his attention like before. Their pet parrot in the cage would have squabbled and squawked at the very sight of Caesar and called him names to tease him. Prepare a table to show Caesar's pranks at home and outside. Caesar's pranks at home, Caesar's pranks outside. He danced about on the dining table. He would visit neighbors' houses frequently. He fidgeted about and investigated things. He would steal pens and pencils, hair ribbons, combs, keys, shuttlecocks, toothbrushes, and false teeth. He would empty the matchbox. He would snatch sweets from children. He would rip the daily paper to shreds. He would take off clothes pegs from the clothesline. He would overturn a vase of flowers. He would tug at the tail of a dog. He would squabble with the hornbill and peck at his feet. He knocked off Aunt Mabel's spectacles. Relate the life story of Caesar, rearranging the facts in a proper sequence in the form of a flow chart. Caesar begins to upset things at home. Neighbor flings a stick at Caesar. Young crow is saved by the narrator. Caesar begins to trouble neighbors. The crow is named Caesar. Caesar passes away. Caesar objects to being caged. Young crow is saved by the narrator. The crow is named Caesar. Caesar begins to upset things at home. Caesar objects to being caged. Caesar begins to trouble neighbors. Neighbor flings a stick at Caesar. Caesar passes away. Rewrite in your own words one event from the story, one of the Caesar's traits that makes you laugh. One event from the story. Caesar would often quarrel with Harold the Hornbill. He would sit on Harold's cage and peck at Harold's feet. Poor Harold could not come out of the cage to catch him. So he tried to catch Caesar through the bars and swear at him and scold him in his own language. One of Caesar's traits that makes me laugh. Caesar knew the meaning of the word kiss, and if someone he liked said kiss kiss, he would place his head gently against their mouth. But when Aunt Mabel, whom Caesar did not like, leaned forward for a kiss, he smartly thrust at her spectacles with his beak and knocked them off. Do you have pet animals? Write an interesting story about your own or friend's pet. Yes, I do have a pet dog named Brady. He usually gets along well with almost everyone. But one of my neighbors, Miss Miranda, an old woman aged 70, never managed to impress the canine. He did his utmost to make her life miserable. Sometimes tilting her dustbin kept outside her door, spreading garbage all over her entrance door. Other times barking at her guests so fiercely to shoo them away before they could even meet her. But one evening, when Miss Miranda got stuck in the lift, Brady immediately recognized her voice. He couldn't bear to hear her cry of anxiety mixed with fear. Off he went running, searching for the security guard and rescued her. Since then, both Brady and Miss Miranda are best friends.